and he arrived one day in the court of the Dalai Lama, and the people were scared, but they were also curious. And the Dalai Lama, only 10 years old at the time, was responsible for all his people and responsible for protecting their peaceful way of life. And only a child, he was a clever one, as most children are. And he decided to follow an old Tibetan custom. When someone does bad things in the name of religion, invite that person to tea. The Master of Destruction accepted the invitation. And when he arrived, he was so impressive and had such a charming way about himself, the people in the great hall began to giggle. They noticed that he was handsome, and they noticed he was a smooth talker, and they seemed to forget all about his violence.
Your Highness, I know why you have asked me here, and I want to stop you worrying. I mean no harm. Ugliness is my only enemy. You here are all beautiful people. I would never think to do you harm.
Now the Dalai Lama was curious. He had heard stories of this great master, but did not know what to think. When you want to do harm, what kind of harm can you do?
I am a lover of beauty. Given the stories you have heard of me, it may seem that I am just the opposite. You know as well as I do that we cannot raise beauty until we get rid of the ugliness in this world.
Dalai Lama listened and asked, I'm still unsure. Please tell me, what exactly do you do?
I can demonstrate what took me 15 years to perfect. Even though I can kill a dozen people at once with my dance, have no fear. You will not see it, since my arms and legs move faster than a helicopter's blades. You will feel a great quietness, like a gentle breeze, come upon you.
The Dalai Lama immediately felt as if a wind had blown flower petals across his face. You may proceed, said the Dalai Lama.
Proceed? I've already finished. Ha! What you felt, like flower petals, was a breeze, was my hands flicking across your face. This was a demonstration in slow motion, how I could have destroyed parts of your body, one by one.
Beaming with pride, the Master of Destruction flexed his muscles and stood there as if he had won a great argument and should become king. The crowd in the great hall was quite impressed. There came upon them a great hush, wondering how their peaceful protector would respond. At last, the Dalai Lama said to him, I know a master greater than you. I have a champion who can best you.
Let him challenge me. Then if he bests me, I shall leave Tibet forever.
If she bests you, there will be no need to leave Tibet at all, responded the Dalai Lama as he clapped his hands, both for the long-awaited tea and to call for the dancing master.
Eventually, the dancing master arrived as summoned. She was well past her prime. Slow to walk the length of the great hall, her body carrying with it varicose veins and elbows swollen from arthritis. If you ever walked near her, it seemed like you could hear her bones creak. Nevertheless, her eyes were glittering merrily, and she seemed eager for the challenge. The dancing master bowed respectfully to her rival, and the Master of Destruction bowed respectfully to his opponent. His very own teacher had been quite old, and though the teacher had looked weak had been very, very strong, and so the Master of Destruction thought carefully about how to win this fight. The two opponents faced off, and the Master of Destruction said to the dancing master,
"You will make the first strike with your frail hands. Since I am at full strength, it will do me no harm."
The Master of Destruction taunted the other to strike.
The old dancing master began to swirl very slowly. Scarves wafting around her head, her arms stretched out, and her hands fluttered like butterflies toward the eyes of her opponent, and for just a moment, her fingers settled gently upon the bushy eyebrows of the Master of Destruction, who drew back in surprise. As if seeing the world for the very first time in his life, he saw that everything was suddenly vibrant with rich hues of singing color. The faces of all the people were radiantly beautiful. It was as if his eyes had been washed clean for the first time. And then the fingers of the dancing master stroked the nose of the Master of Destruction. And suddenly he could smell delicious smells wafting up from coffee hour. His ears became more attuned, and he could hear great instruments resounding in 1,000 rooms, praising creation. It seemed to him that all he wanted to do was to nurture the blossoming of life.
And thus, he began the most beautiful dance that had ever been seen. It went on for 3 days and 3 nights. As it did, everyone feasted. Visitors crowded the doorways and galleries to watch. And finally, when he returned to the Dalai Lama, he was exhausted from dancing and from the joy coursing through all of his senses. But as he beamed with joy at his holiness, he then saw that his new teacher, the one old dancing master, had died of exertion from her final and most marvelous dance. But she had died happily, having found the new student and successor she had always yearned and hoped for. The new dancing master of Tibet wept in grief and gratitude, dedicating himself to this new, powerful art, having learned that joy and kindness are more powerful than destruction. He never did leave Tibet. In fact, he stayed and spread joy far and wide, sharing its powers with many more people than ever before.
The end.